This is lesson 13 in book D, and I'm dividing this up into two videos. One is about what the classical style is and how we need to apply that to this piece. This video is going to be just about how to play the music. I'm not going to talk too much about that. First thing I'm going to do with your child's book is put a repeat in. We're going to play this section twice. We're going to play it the first time as written. The second time we're going to play it an octave higher. So we're going to start here in G position, and then as we finish here, we're going to jump down and play C, and then on the repeat, jump up an octave like it tells you right there. So we're going to jump up there. These directions we're not going to follow. Well, actually, we are going to play this repeated, so we're going to follow it a little bit. But a minuet and trio form is A, B, A. So here's our A, this is going to be our B, and then we're going to go back to A again. And there's a lot of repetition in the classical style. So this is repeated, this little motif is repeated here, but it's slightly different. This is more of a counterpoint. You might think of this as Mozart. This is a little bit more like Bach. This is a little bit more like Bach too. Counterpoint just means you don't have the melody in the right hand with the left hand being an accompaniment. Counterpoint is sort of like the melody is in both. It's in both right hands, and it just happens to go together. So you have to get it to sound right. It looks simple, but it can be very difficult on the fingers. So I like that they're bringing this in. Here's how this sounds. We want to pay attention to the staccatos. It would be very easy to add a lot of expression. Please don't do that. We don't do that in the classical style. Instead, we keep it very close to the technicalities of all this. We want to make sure that our rhythm is correct. Instead of thinking about big expression, which we would do in the Romantic era, not the classical era, but in the Romantic era, or in the modern era too, instead of that, we want to keep it nice and light and sweet. So think about sweet music instead of emotional, expressive music. Nothing should be very expressive here. All right, so here's the first line. And then we would jump down to here without missing a beat. I've already started there. I said I was going to play one line. I did not. So here's what to pay attention to with this. You'll notice it starts and it does appear to be going down. We are going down like it's parallel motion. But then it continues one more note in the left hand, and the right hand goes up to C. So we're playing 4 and 4. So you might tell your child, keep playing and then play the 4. Play the 4s. That's where it changes when you're playing your finger 4s. Now we have contrary motion all the way to the thumbs. So from the 4s we go back. So what we did was we went parallel, starting on 1 and 3. And then with the 4s, we went back. Keep that nice and light. That's not a staccato, but it definitely needs to be kind of Mozart sounding. All right, and then with this, it would be easy to be nice and booming with this. Please don't do that. It shouldn't really be that way. Instead, think of this more like kind of a drone, not low, but a high one. Like there's a trumpet. Okay, and then this repeats. So this is the same, and then this measure is just the same here. So then as soon as we get to this spot, we need to jump into C position. This hand first, 5. Repeat. And then with this, the pattern here is that there's a G. So have them keep in mind that they're going to continually playing every third note is a G. So they keep going up to the G. Practice it one hand at a time. Practice your chords. Now this isn't, the G is played all the way through, but it's played in a kind of a backwards order than what we've done in the past. We have a fifth, a second, then a third, and then it comes down. Now this, notice that when we play this last note of the slur, we start with the G. And then it goes back. So this is connected to this phrase there. All right, now once you get to this, it's going to be hard to very, very quickly jump right back to this spot and play it correctly. So I would have them practice this and this just to make sure that they can do that jump. So it's 1, 2, and then without missing a beat. And so they want to play to there. Technically, that's what you want to do with Minuet and Trio. And then this is going to be the really hard stuff. We're learning a lot of new words here. Let's not worry about those words. If you're using your metronome, your child will automatically learn those. And as we get into after we finish the method books, and as you start in on some of the real music from Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, and Haydn and Handel and all those, that you'll have these automatically in there. And so they'll learn those along the way. I don't think it's important for them to learn them right now. But they do need to know the speed. So we do need to pay attention to how fast or slow. They want this to be slow, this slightly faster, this slightly faster, but I would not let your child start by playing them faster. Make sure that they play them as slowly as they can, all the way through. And as they can play it perfectly, they will automatically get a little bit faster. And plus, here's the other thing, these sound faster. So even though they're not really playing faster, they sound faster. So please try really, really hard to get your child to slow them down. These are pieces, these are like little etudes where they're going to have to learn them one hand at a time. Luckily, the left hand here, it's kind of got this Alberti sound, this Alberti bass sound that we have in classical music, which is while something is going on over here, well, you have this little sweet little melody happening in the right hand. So I can see why they're choosing this here. And then this is the same pattern except for a couple little measures. It's basically the same. And down here, the right hand is the same as up here. Now the difference is that in the left hand here, we have more of a ragtime going on in the left hand. So I'm gonna just go ahead and play through these. For the most part, the first few measures repeat themselves. The endings are different, so the endings are what they really need to focus on. Once they can get the beginning down, then they're really on their way. And that's that one. So you'll notice the two different endings. If you listen for the bass line there, you'll really be able to hear whether or not they're doing that right. Okay, and then this one, as I said, start slowly, please, and then put the two hands together even more slowly. It says forte first and then piano. The first time you play it forte, the second time is piano. That is a classical style. That is something that happens in almost all classical music. All right. So this one, you want to keep it nice and light in the left hand. We're still working on wrists here. So you get how that works. This obviously they're going to have to move up an octave, go fast. The idea is speed and nail it right on the beat. If they're going too fast, they're never going to be able to do it right. And that's really what we're trying to teach them. So please don't let them go fast, because then there's something else that they won't learn. Okay, and then with this bottom, they'll notice the pattern here. It's really easy. This is kind of a independent hands exercise. So their hands are going to feel like they're doing very different things because they are. That's familiar. Start it again. forget how that works. This, they're going to have to practice a little bit. This almost feels like one of the Czerny 5-finger exercises. So it's 4, 5, 4, 2. So those first 4 notes, there's a third in there. So 4, 5, 4, 2, and then the rest is a 5-finger. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those are the finger numbers. And then they've got that an 8 octave lower. And I would say even the second time you play it, because you're going to jump up here and do it again, I would still play them really low, just because it sounds fun that way. So notice here the 4th finger. And then it goes back to the 5 again. And then with this, this is where it changes. This has also got the 4th finger in here. So that makes that even more tricky. This is the easy part, which repeats. All right, and then the paperwork isn't as important for this week. We've got a little bit of this. We can talk about this, how to do this. I would worry about swinging this. I would have them do this with a metronome so that they can hear the rests. The ticks come in on the rests on quite a bit of this. And then here they're working on just different positions, 3 different little tunes to help them decide how fast or slow they want to play it. Not as important to do. And then also, here's where we want to mark the intervals on this page, which is just good practice. All right, have a good week, and also look into that second video about the classical style, which will help you appreciate what we're doing. You'll like the material better if you're able to understand what's going on a little bit better.